Welcome to a somewhat gloomy, dim here Beijing for a camera comparison against the new Vivo X200 Pro, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So I've got all of the cameras set to 4K 30 here. They do support 4K 60, and we're using electronic image stabilization with all three. A short little jog, testing out that electronic image stabilization, which one looks the steadiest here. Audio samples to test out the microphones. I'm swapping over in this video so we can listen to which one does sound the best. Rear made cameras at the moment, and this is 4K 30 frames per second. I'm not using 4K 60 because I have a bit of a data restriction here, and that would mean a higher file size for me. But you can see here that they're looking quite smooth across all three. And I'm swapping over those audio sources. Which one do you think has the best sounding microphone? So we've got a lot of rental bikes along here. I'll swap over now to the ultra wides. These are using now electronic image stabilization. So you can see the field of view on the X200 Pro here is the smallest here. We've got a 15mm ultra wide, so it doesn't quite fit in that much more compared to our main camera, 50 megapixels also with the iPhone. And the Samsung here, so focus looking good on all three. I've not noticed any focus issues. So that's the ultra wide. I'm going over to the 5x optical camera with our iPhone, 5x with the Samsung, and 3.7 now with the X200 Pro. Stabilization on all three with the zoom cameras seems to be all right. Back to our main cameras now, and I'll just walk along here and a short jog just to test out that stability. Which one do you think is the steadiest here? Optical and electronic with our main cameras. Low light video. It is very dark where I am at the moment here in Beijing. Unfortunately, the weather's been a little bit bad. It was raining just before, so I couldn't really get anywhere special, but it doesn't really matter. So cleaned the lenses with microfiber cloths, so there should be no smudging on them. They're all really equal here, and you can see the quality across all three now in very low light here. Not looking great. You can see some of the jutters coming through as I do walk along. The stability does not look as good as daylight. And the section here is a little bit brighter. Which one do you think handles the low light here? These difficult conditions the best. So I'll swap over to some zoom cameras now, 3.7 with the Vivo, 5 with our S24 Ultra, 5x here with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Which one do you think is the steadiest and has the best quality for the zoom cameras in low light? Onto stills, and first up, selfie portrait. So the stitching across all three is not perfect. You can see with the Vivo, there's a bit of a black mark on the top of my head. You can see the individual hairs with the iPhone, and the skin smoothing still happening with the Vivo, even though I turned this off. Now, this is a China ROM issue that when you turn off beautifying, there's still a little bit of skin smoothing that is applied that I can clearly see. Now, my eyes don't look the best on the Vivo. I think the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra probably has the best portrait shot under these conditions. With this photo of our cyclist, to me it's the Vivo that is the best looking shot. The iPhone, if you have a look closely, when I've cropped it now 200%, see how his eye is missing. His right eye is kind of blurred, so that's bad stitching. There's a lot of detail with the Vivo, tiny bit of skin smoothing. The S24 Ultra, clearly second place to me, and yeah, the iPhone is last. 35-meter equivalent right here. So the X200 Pro, I think, takes this. The best detail, the best stitching. The iPhone is second, and then third place is the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra that just missed the focus. Even though I tapped on her eyes for all three, I don't know what happened there to the Samsung. Zoom cameras, so we've got 3.7x optical with the Vivo. That's why it's not so close compared to the two others that are at 5x optical zoom. But the Vivo captures a lot more detail here. The Zeiss natural color profile gets the colors correct. And look at the blue of that sign. There's a lot more different shades to that blue. It's completely lost with the Samsung. It's clipping all those colors and it's just all blended in as one. Even more obvious now with the blue there of that sign, and then the details above it that the Vivo at 10x zoom across all three of them now is looking the best, very washed out with our Samsung, and a lot of noise with the iPhone. Now, it was a foggy, polluted day in Beijing when I took this shot, and the Vivo captures this the best. It's pretty much exactly how I saw it. The colors are more true to life, more accurate here. The white balance is the best. Samsung's a little too bright, and in second place, the iPhone. But to me, it's the Vivo that won this one. Again, the background blur is a nice touch. The Samsung's a little too white, too little overexposed. Here, with this shot, I'm focusing on those Chinese characters, and you can see the red is overdone, and this is a common theme, especially with low light with the Vivo. Oversaturating the red there, we're losing some of the details. So it's a Samsung S24 Ultra first place, second is our iPhone, and third the Vivo. Ultra-wide cameras. Now, without me cropping in, they all kind of look the same. There's a slight difference in the exposure across all three of them and the lighting. So the iPhone didn't quite get the colors. I think it's the Vivo the best with the colors. However, zooming in, you can see the iPhone did capture more details. The HDR a little bit better with bringing out details in the shadows there of that tree. This is Vivo's super macro mode, so we're using a combination of both software background blur and hardware, but the 200 megapixel sensor can take some fantastic looking macro photos. The colors are good, and with this shot here, the colors again with that Zeiss profile are more accurate with the Vivo. The S24 Ultra is second, the iPhone was just a little too bright. Over to low light shots. Now, this is where things are getting difficult. All three look very good, right? But when you do crop in, this is now 200%. You can see that the Samsung has a little bit of noise to it. The iPhone and the Vivo are looking the best here, but the slightly more true to life colors here are from the Vivo. There's not much of a difference in it. It's so close to the iPhone, but I believe it just pulls ahead. So looking at this shot, you can see the bushes at the front. There's a lot more detail with the Vivo, I think. But the red of the sign is oversaturated. It's far too red. It wasn't that vibrant. And that logo there in the middle, the Samsung captures the best. The iPhone, definitely for the third place. It's overblown, overexposed that sign completely and not as good as the other two. Zoom cameras at their optical zoom maximum in low light. You can see at the 3.7, the Vivo is looking the best here. It's not as washed out as the Samsung or the iPhone. Now, the Samsung does look the worst here at zoom camera, but now I've gone to 10 times across all three of them, and this is where the Vivo is looking the worst now because it's using the most digital zoom compared to the other two that have more optical zoom to them. And I think it's the iPhone that is the best at 10 times with this low light shot. Ultra-wide cameras. Now, straight up, the iPhone, I'm going to say that's third place. It's got a lot of noise, this new sensor from Apple, and I'm not really too happy with it. I don't think it's any better than what we had with their previous 12-megapixel camera, but the Samsung here is the brightest. However, cropping in, you can see it doesn't capture the details in the middle as good as the Vivo does. And all up, just looking at the whole thing in general there, the lighting, the mood of the shot, and the details, I think it's Vivo that took this one. The shot of our Chinese restaurant in Beijing, you can see that the Vivo's got, I like the contrast of it, the details of the road, but look at those lamps. They're overdone, oversaturated that red. The best is with our S24 Ultra, but it's not quite as detailed as it comes through with the iPhone, which gets the red a little oversaturated, but a good balance between the details, saturation, overall colors did come out good here with the iPhone. 10 times zoom here of this tower that they used for the Olympics. Now you can see that the red again oversaturated, but like the details we're getting, extra details with the Vivo. The sky looks the best. There's not so much light pollution shown as we get with the Ultra, S24 Ultra and our iPhone. Looking, I think, the iPhone the worst there with a lot of noise and quite a washed out photo. So clearly this shot went to the Vivo. So here are my findings. Selfie portrait shots, they went to the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. For your rare portraits, the Vivo X200 Pro was clearly the winner to me. Great at zoom, portraits, and zoom shots in general went to our Vivo. Low light also, the Vivo I think had an edge, and its macro shots too. So we're clearly, I think, seeing a leader here when it comes to the photography side of things. However, video, not so great with the two Android phones, especially in low light. They dropped a lot of frames, and they were quite juddery too when I panned around. So that went to the iPhone, the video quality, both vlog footage with the front-facing camera and rear footage. Video is best on the iPhone. And finally, microphones. I would say that was a, well,
almost a bit of a tie there between the Vivo was very clear at times and the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, also very good audio. And I think third place for the audio was our iPhone. So do you agree with my findings? If you want to see more camera comparisons, do let me know with the new X200 Pro. Perhaps I'll compare it to the X100 Ultra to see if this is the new top dog when it comes to Android still photography.